All right, intermediate algebra homework day 40. We are solving equations that have squares in them. It says if I have x squared equals 63. Well, that one's one that's not a perfect square. So before we do that one, let's think about if I have an easier one. If I have x squared equals 4. If we have x squared equals 4, it's saying what number squared is 4? So I think about this, that the opposite of squaring. Last week we did equations that had square roots in. We said the opposite of the square root is squaring. Well, guess what? The opposite of squaring is taking the square root. So when I take the square root, I'm going to have x equals, because square root of a square cancels that out, the square root of 4 is 2. However, it says if there's more than one solution, separate it with a comma. In this case, 2 squared is 4, but so is negative 2 squared. So when we solve by taking the square root, they're going to say plus or minus that value, because 2 squared is 4 and negative 2 squared is also 4. So if I'm going to solve this one and they want me to do x squared equals 63, I'm going to take the square root of both sides. So x is going to equal plus or minus the square root of 63. Now I have a radical expression, and so when I simplify that, I want to factor that out because I have a factor that's a perfect square. 63 would be 9 times 7. Square root of 9 is 3, so I'm going to get 3 square root of 7, but because it's plus or minus, x is going to equal 3 square root of 7 or negative 3 square root of 7. And both of those are going to go in for my answer then. Fix my paper because I need more writing room. So same thing on number 2. On number 2 it says that x squared equals the square root of 22. Does not say that. X squared equals 22. So if I want to solve that, again I'm going to do the opposite of squaring. The opposite of squaring is taking the square root of both sides. So x is going to equal plus or minus the square root of 22. So in this case, you think about the factors of 22. Well, it's 1 and 22 or 2 and 11. Neither 2 or 11 are perfect squares, so I can't simplify it. So x is going to equal the square root of 22 or negative square root of 22. And again, you have to put both answers in there separated with a comma. And let me put a little more space on this one again. So number 3 says x squared equals negative 45. If I do x squared equals negative 45, and I apply my rule and take the square root of both sides, x is going to equal plus or minus the square root of negative 45. However, you can't take a square root of a negative number. The square root of a negative number is an imaginary number, which when you take college algebra we'll get to. So in this case, we can't do it. So our answer is going to be no solution.